The Barbie movie from director Greta Gerwig is coming out this summer, and I wanted to share some DIYs inspired by it to celebrate because I'm sure this movie will change my life. Let's start with a directed by Greta Gerwig shirt. Mine is pink, but white will work great too. Actually, will work better if you choose white. I took a screenshot from the trailer credits. I put the picture up in my Pinterest to print. Link is in the description. I cut the three parts separate like this, and I will use a craft knife to cut the letters out. The white and pink parts have to go, and we also must keep the inner part of the letters like A and E. I placed a cereal box cardboard in the middle of the shirt. That way paint won't go through the fabric. And I moved the letters around to know where to glue them down. I will start with the name. I'm using a washable glue stick for the back of the paper sheet. Be careful to not rip off the paper and make sure to cover all the inner edge. I like to use this purple glue to see which part is covered and which is missing some glue. Very quickly, I will stick the template to the shirt, apply some pressure to make sure it sticks, and make sure you don't stain the fabric with glue in this area. For paint, I'm using professional acrylic paint. You can use fabric paint, just don't use tempera or vinylic paint. Remember to glue down the inner part of the E and A. I will use a sponge, dampen it with the pink paint I chose, and take off some excess on the cardboard. You don't want to have too much paint on the sponge or it might wet the paper too much. And now I will tap over the template to cover the name. You have to go up and down with the sponge. Don't drag it because that might get some paint under the paper template. Just like tapping over the surface until you cover the fabric is okay. 2 layers are usually enough, and I don't let the paint dry between layers. For this one I used 4 layers because the color is too similar, and yeah, just choose a white shirt. So after the paint has dried completely, you can take off the paper. Some parts might remain stuck to the fabric, but don't worry about them. They will wash away on the first wash. Now let's move on to the Gerwig template, and we will repeat the process to paint the shirt. Also be careful around the template. You can place more paper sheets or cardboard around so the sponge doesn't touch the fabric out of the area. As you notice in the original image, the letters have a pink contour, and we will paint that with a thin brush. I'm looking at the picture in my cell phone to check where that shading goes. Again, this will have looked better in white, at least for the camera. Like in person it's okay, but in the camera it's too similar. The shades of pink are too similar. Painted the entire name and also the directed by, and it's done. I love it. It's so pretty. It's really easy to make. You can wash it like any regular t-shirt, and I think I love it because I wish Greta Gerwig was in charge of my life. Now let's make some bracelets. These are my favorite accessories. God bless this trend. I will start with some easy ones using pink beads and smiley faces, maybe a letter B for Barbie. My elastic thread is about 3 inches longer than the bracelet needs to be, so I can have enough room for the knot. I take one end and pass it through the middle of the bracelet like this, and then take the ends again and pass one of them through the middle of the elastic through this circle that you can see. I don't know how to explain it, but you can see it. And I pull a little and make a third knot passing one end through the middle again, and then pull strongly to tighten the knot and cut the excess. Not too much, as this can undo the bracelet, but just enough to cut the slack. So I love these designs, but I want it to be more camp, just like the set of the movie. It's too much, and I want my bracelets to be too much. So I will make some bracelets with huge beads with different shapes. I will combine pink and purple, and I added some little beads and big ones. The strawberry is my favorite. Like, this video exists because I wanted to use this strawberry in this accessory, and I got the idea of using Barbie shoes like charms. So I string the shoes through the spaces, like the holes in the sandal, but if it doesn't have a place where you can go through with the elastic thread, then you can make a tiny hole in the shoe. I don't really have very specific instructions. It depends on your materials, but I just wanted to give you some inspiration to make some original accessories. Bracelets don't necessarily need to have a pattern. You can combine different beads and toys in this case. I really love them and they are kinda childish, but that's the point because we still Barbie girls in our hearts. So now that we got into the accessories, let's make a chain. I bought a bunch of Barbie shoes. Here in Mexico we have tianguis and you can find everything there. Everything includes little toys like Barbie shoes, but I think you can also search online. I paint some of them pink and now I will add those to this purple chain. As before, you can use the shoe as it is or make a little hole through it. It's really soft. This plastic is really soft, so you can make a hole and hang it from a ring and then add it to the chain. I counted the links in the chain to place the shoes evenly. I used 8 shoes total, and this one can turn into a bracelet, a necklace, or a chain for your pants. I placed 2 big clasps in the chain. I found them in the same store I bought the chain from, and that way I can hang this from my clothes or my tote bag, and it's so pretty. I love it. I might make one with toys, like Barbie toys instead of shoes. That will be amazing. Now I will show you how I made an embroidered patch. It's great because I used some beads to give it shine and volume. I start off by cutting a rectangle of cloth. My embroidery hoop fits twice in the fabric. You can copy the image you will use by using a window to see through the fabric. I will go easy with the iconic Barbie bee. Once the fabric is in the hoop, I painted the letter pink using fabric paint. So if we leave some space in between beads, the background helps us to keep it pink. I will start adding some letters to it, writing Barbie and a heart in this area. The embroidery thread has 6 strands in total. I separate 2 of them very carefully and thread the needle. Make a double knot at the end and start with a heart charm. I'm pushing my needle up from the back, then going through the hole in the bead and back to the cloth to secure it. In the back, I pass the needle near the knot to make a little loop, and I will move to the next bead. So my needle goes up from the back, leaving the distance for the bead to fit. Then push the needle through the bead all the way to the bottom and push the needle back to the fabric to secure it. I will continue this way in a line, adding the letters to write Barbie. When I finish, a double knot on the back will be enough to keep it in place. I was shocked this line was so neat, but if yours is not, don't worry, we will cover this later. Now it's time to cover the rest of the letter with pink seed beads, and I will kind of repeat the same process as before. I thread the needle the same way and push it from the back, then go through the bead and push the needle back to the fabric. The stitch is the same size as the bead. You can't really see the thread. I started off really messy and then realized it will be easier and prettier to align the beads as much as possible. Not all of them are the same size or exact same shape, and we will use that in our favor to cover the entire pink surface. Don't leave any gaps, and if you feel the seed bead is loose from the fabric, you can go through the bead again to secure it. I'm pretty sure this is not the exact professional way to do it, but that's how I made it and it worked. And it's easy, not fast to make, but the result is worth it. Take off the cloth, now it's heavy, and fold it in half, covering the back where all the thread is crossed and looks like a mess. Place this back in the hoop, and now we will hand stitch the outside line. For this step, I like to use more strings, maybe 3, and tie the edges together to make it 6 in total. Start from the back and pull up, then go down, pushing the needle in the edge of the letter B. We will go all around the shape. You can draw a line to guide you and make an even contour with the thread. So I push my needle up from the back in this outside line and then back to the fabric in the edge where the seed beads are. This will join the two pieces of cloth and make your patch more resistant. I will continue with this simple stitch all around along the shape and also inside the letter in this area to complete the B. You will run out of thread, so tie a knot, cut off, and thread the needle again to start where you left the piece. Once you finish, take off the cloth and trim the excess of fabric. Just be careful, don't cut any thread or knots, but try to cut as close to the B as possible. Last step is to paint this border with acrylic or fabric paint, the same color as your thread, and let it dry. Now you can sew it into any jacket or backpack with this simple stitch all around where the thread is, and it's okay if you wash it, but I rather to take it off the clothes. This is so pretty and so shiny, and once that you make a simple shape like this V, you can go ahead and try more complicated patches. For the last DIY, I found this sort of safety pin meant to use as an accessory. It has these rings to hang beads, or you can use a regular safety pin and add a little chain to hang the charms. I will use this flat head pin to add a seed bead, a flower, and another seed bead. I cut the excess using my pliers and use the tip to make a loop at the top. The second charm is a Barbie shoe, of course, and I just added a ring to hang it. And the last one is the letter B. I painted pink using nail polish, and that's how it turned out. I love it, and it only took me about 5 minutes to make. Please let me know which one was your favorite DIY. I love all of them, but I honestly use that t-shirt like every day. I am super excited for the movie, and I will make more videos about it, so I hope you enjoyed this one.